Oh, wait. Max, is that coffee or tea? It looks delicious, but it seems like you're struggling to keep your eyes open today.
Caught me already. Honestly, Emma, it's coffee. But it seems even caffeine has given up on me this morning.
Exactly. And honestly, that's the perfect place to start. Did you hear what we just did there? We used both of our star words for today in the first 10 seconds. Welcome back to the English podcast, everyone. I'm Emma, and as always, I'm joined by my perpetually caffeinated co-host, Max.
Hey, everyone. Yeah, I'm definitely leaning on this coffee today. But Emma, you're right. I was actually thinking about this on my way to the studio. I saw a guy running down the street, and he looked really fast, but it seemed like he was actually just late for the bus. It's a tiny difference, right? But for our listeners, these two words can be a total nightmare.
It's true. I remember when I was first living abroad, I used to get so caught up in my head. I'd be at a dinner party, and I'd want to say something about the food. I'd think, does it look spicy, or does it seem spicy? And by the time I figured it out, the meal was over and everyone was talking about something else.
Oh, I've been there. I think we've all been there. That frozen moment where you're analyzing grammar rules while the conversation just sails past you. It's that perfectionism we always talk about. You want to be precise, so you say nothing at all.
Precisely. And that is exactly what we are breaking down today. We aren't going to give you a boring, dusty grammar lecture. We're going to talk about how these words feel in real life. Because let's be honest, if you're at a bakery, like that one time I tried to order a croissant in France, you don't have time to pull out a textbook.
Wait, tell them that story again, Emma. The bakery one. It's a classic example of looking versus seeming.
Fine. So, I walked into this beautiful little patisserie. I saw this pastry that looked incredible, all golden and flaky. So, based on my eyes, it looked tasty. But the baker? He seemed a bit grumpy. He wasn't smiling. He was moving fast. His vibe was off.
See, that's the magic secret right there. Look is for the eyes. Seem is for the vibe, the feeling, the whole situation.
Exactly. If I say you look tired, I'm seeing the dark circles under your eyes. Sorry, Max. But if I say you seem tired, maybe it's because you're making mistakes or speaking slowly. It's an impression.
I know a lot of you listening right now are probably nodding your heads. You've had that moment where you're on a video call for work, and your boss looks calm, but the news they're giving seems really stressful. It's confusing. But don't worry, we're going to give you simple tools today to make sure you never trip over these again.
And hey, before we dive into the deep end, let us know. Where are you listening from today? I love imagining you guys in different corners of the world, maybe on a train or making breakfast. Drop your city in the comments. It makes this feel like a real global hangout.
It really does. And stick around because by the end of this episode, I'm going to share a ready-to-use phrase that works for both words. It's like a cheat code for your English. You won't want to miss that.
But first, let's talk about why we overthink this. Why do we care so much about being right? I think it's because we're afraid of looking, well, silly or seeming unprepared. See, I'm doing it again.
You're a natural, Emma. But seriously, I failed miserably the first time I tried to explain a feeling in English. I kept using looks for everything. It looks like a bad idea. It wasn't wrong, but it felt thin, like I was only scratching the surface.
That's a great way to put it. Look is the surface. Seem is the depth. You know, Max, it's funny you mention that thin feeling. I think many of our listeners feel like their English is a bit basic because they stick to the words they saw in Level 1 textbooks. But using seems is like adding a new flavor to your cooking.
I totally agree. But wait, Emma, before you get too fancy, let's keep it simple for a second. If I'm a beginner and I'm looking at a cloudy sky, what do I say?
Great question. You'd say, it looks like it's going to rain. Why? Because you can see the gray clouds with your eyes. But if you're inside a building with no windows and you see people walking in with wet umbrellas, you'd say, it seems like it's raining outside. You haven't seen the rain, but the evidence suggests it.
Ah, I love that. Look is the camera, seem is the detective.
Yes, write that down, everyone. Look equals camera. Seem equals detective.
But here's where people get stuck. They try to use these complex structures. It would appear as though... No, stop. Use short, simple sentences. That's our first tool. Instead of overcomplicating it, just say, he seems nice, or that looks hard.
That's such a relief to hear. I think we often feel like we need to speak in these long, winding paragraphs to prove we're advanced. But real fluency, the kind that makes you feel confident, is often just about using the right small word at the right time.
Exactly. It's about communication, not a performance. If you get the point across, you've won.
Now, I want to try something. I know you're thinking, Max, Emma, this sounds easy when you say it, but I'll forget it the moment I open my mouth. I get it. I really do. I've had those brain farts too.
Brain farts. Hey, it's a technical term. But really, have you ever been in a conversation where you just blinked and the word was gone?
All the time. That's why our second tool is so vital. Reaction words. Before you even decide between looks or seems, use a filler or a reaction. Oh, wow. Or, or interesting. This gives your brain 3 seconds to catch up.
So, if someone tells me a story about a crazy vacation, I can say, wow, that seems like a lot of work.
Perfect. That wow is your safety net. It makes you sound natural while your detective brain is figuring out the grammar.
I love that. It takes the pressure off. And speaking of pressure, I think we should talk about low-pressure practice. A lot of people only try to use these words when they are in a high-stakes meeting. That's like trying to learn to swim in the middle of the ocean during a storm.
Terrible idea. Please don't do that. Instead, practice in your head. When you're watching a movie, look at the characters. Think, she looks angry, but she seems sad. It's a game you play with yourself. No one is judging you.
I do that with my dog. I look at him and think, you look hungry, but you always seem hungry, so I'm not giving you more treats.
Poor dog. But that's a perfect example. You're building the habit in a safe space. By the way, I'm curious. What's a word or phrase that you always get stuck on? Tell us in the comments. We might make a whole episode about it just for you.
We really might. We love hearing your struggles because, honestly, they're our struggles too. We're all in this together.
Now, Max, I mentioned something about a cheat code earlier, a phrase that works for both.
I'm waiting for it. But first, let's address the inner voice. Because you can know all the grammar in the world, but if that voice is negative, you won't speak.
It's the loudest person in the room. That voice says, everyone is going to laugh if you say looks instead of seems. But here's the truth. Most native speakers won't even notice if you swap them. They really won't.
That is so true. We are our own toughest judges. I remember I once told a friend, "You seem like a tall person." I meant he looked tall. He just laughed and said, "I am tall." The world didn't end.
Exactly. The goal is connection, not perfection. So, if you're an overthinker, and I know many of you are, give yourself permission to be mostly right instead of perfectly right.
I think that's a huge mindset shift. Mostly right is enough to get the job done.
All right, let's get back to the practical stuff. We've talked about look as the eyes and seem as the feeling. But what about when we talk about people's personalities?
Oh, this is a fun one. If you meet someone at a party, you might say, "He looks friendly. Maybe he's smiling." But after talking to him for 5 minutes, you might say, "He seems very intelligent." You're not seeing his intelligence, you're sensing it through his words.
So, look is the first impression, seem is the second impression.
Exactly.
Now, let's talk about that ready-to-use phrase I promised. If you are ever in doubt, if your brain is totally frozen and you can't remember which one to use this. It sounds like...
Wait, sounds like? But we're talking about seeing and feeling.
I know. But in English, it sounds like is a universal substitute for it seems like. If someone tells you about a problem, you can say, that sounds difficult. You aren't literally hearing the difficulty, you're understanding the situation. It's a very safe, very natural phrase.
That is a total game changer. That sounds great. That sounds like a plan. That sounds confusing. It works for everything.
It really does. It's the ultimate safety phrase for intermediate learners. It helps you stay in the flow of the conversation without hitting that mental brick wall.
I'm actually going to start using that more myself. It sounds right.
See? You're already doing it. But hey, let's take a moment. We've covered a lot. We've talked about cameras and detectives and the magic of sounds like. How are you feeling? Does this make sense? If you're feeling a bit more confident, give us a yes in the chat.
And if you're still a bit confused, that's okay too. Language learning isn't a straight line. It's more like a messy squiggle that eventually goes upward.
I love that. A messy squiggle. That seems like a very accurate description of my life in general.
Mine too, Emma. Mine too. But seriously, we want you to take this out into the real world. Don't just listen to us. We want you to actually do something with this.
Which leads us to our challenge. But wait, Max, I think we have one more little detail. What about when we use looks like versus just looks?
Ah, the like factor. Basically, use like when you're followed by a noun. He looks like a doctor. If you just use an adjective, you don't need like. He looks busy.
Simple enough. Adjective, no like. Noun, yes like.
You got it.
Okay, now it's time for the part I love the most. The challenge. We don't want you to just be passive listeners. We want you to be active speakers.
Exactly. So, here is your mission for today. Sometime in the next 24 hours, I want you to say one real sentence in English using either looks or seems.
Just one?
Just one. It could be to a coworker, a friend, or even just to yourself in the mirror. You could say, "This coffee looks hot," or "Today seems like it's going to be a busy day."
And then, this is the important part. Come back here and write that sentence in the comments. Tell us how it felt to say it. Did you overthink it? We want to hear your tiny victories.
I'll be reading those comments too. I love seeing the sentences you guys come up with. It always reminds me that there are people all over the world working on the same things we are.
It's a beautiful community. And remember, if you found this helpful, join us. Subscribe, follow, whatever platform you're on. We have so much more coming up to help you move from that frozen feeling to speaking with total ease.
Before we go, let's do a quick word tour of what we learned. Look, what the eyes see, the camera. Seem, what the mind feels or the vibe, the detective. Sounds like, your emergency backup phrase for almost anything. Reaction words. Wow. Oh. Your best friends to buy time. The squiggle. Progress isn't a straight line, and that's perfectly okay.
That's a solid list. I feel smarter already.
You always seem smart to me, Emma.
Oh, stop it. You look like you're just trying to be nice now.
Maybe a little bit, but it's true. Anyway, thank you all so much for hanging out with us today in our little corner of the internet. It really means a lot.
It really does. And hey, if you're looking for more, our next episode is going to be all about how to stop translating in your head. It's a big one.
Oh, I can't wait for that one. That was my biggest struggle for years.
Mine too. But we'll tackle it together. Until then, keep practicing, keep making mistakes, and keep being awesome.
Because remember, progress over perfection every single time.
See you in the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Oh, and Max,
Yeah?
that coffee? It really does look cold now.
It seems you're right. Again.
Hmm.